Also in this field we did do some biomass testing, and so we had some 4-foot square areas that we cut all the above ground plant material and weighed it, and we did that in 8 locations. And then on average, if you converted it to a square foot, it was 0.85 pounds per square foot, and that was equivalent to 37,000 pounds of green material per acre. And then we dried that down and found the dry weight was 15%, so that put us somewhere between 5,000 and 6,000 pounds of dry material per acre above ground. So this is the summer cover crop we're looking at. Besides the 8 species of cover crop seed we planted, we also have various weeds in here. We have some malva, we have some purslane, and then some pigweed species in here. So it's a multi-species with weeds and what was planted. So today we are mowing it, and then we're getting ready to spread compost. And then there will be 6 beds that we do some occultation experiment with weed barrier covering it with 4 lines of drip tape to keep nice moisture below the weed barrier. And the rest we will do some vertical tillage, probably a couple passes vertical tillage, and then do some pre-irrigation. Today is July 10th. This is our San Juan Ranch. This is field SF2. This is where we had a summer cover crop on 80-inch beds, and today we're mowing it. It was a mixed species cover crop. We had phacelia, flax, parsley, and teff that was seeded with a brillion, more of a broadcast, on top of the bed. And then we used a John Deere orchard grain drill, a 7-footer, and we were able to put 8 lines of sunflower, vetch, sun hemp, and there's one I'm forgetting. I think it was cilantro. Again, looking at this summer cover crop field on 80-inch beds. Some of the pigweed we're catching before seed production. We do have the buckwheat. Oh, that was the other species I was trying to think of in the drilled. The buckwheat is flowering, but not seed production. The phacelia is just starting to flower, but no seed production. So we're terminating this before any weed seeds or any cover crop seed being produced. So here we are spreading compost on these mowed beds. This should be a rate of about 8 to 10 tons per acre. And then this is in the area that we will put our wheat barrier down for the occultation trial. at the mixed species cover crop on 80-inch beds. Bumblebee, this is Brazilian bloom. Get a look at pigweed. There is some lamb's quarter in here. Then you hit some nice areas where it outcompeted the weeds a little bit better with the sunflower. So here we are back in our 80-inch bed summer cover crop mixed species. We're mowing it today mainly because of some of the weed species that were prevalent in here before they go to seed. Pigweed, purslane. In this area it's pretty relatively clean of weeds, and we would just be getting ready to start some pretty nice bloom on Phacelia, which would be very attractive to bumblebees and pollinating species. So it is a little bit of a shame to have to terminate it this early, but now we're getting into an area where there's quite a few more weeds that came up with the cover crop. So it just necessitates terminating this at this stage. So here we are looking at a summer cover crop of 8 mixed species and some various weeds that came up. Quite a bit more weed issues in the summer cover crop with pigweed, purslane, lamb's quarter, as opposed to when we did this kind of same technique in the winter. And then in the winter we also had some mustard in. That seemed to really outcompete the winter annual weeds, but at least in this field with a pretty heavy weed population, did not really do a thorough outcompeting job. Well, here's one of the areas we did our material sampling to get a biomass rating. So this is our summer mixed species cover crop on 80-inch beds being terminated today, partly because of wanting to stay ahead of weeds going to seed. And you can see some of the different species that kind of weren't, that were still kind of grew along with the cover crop. This is kind of a bad spot in here with purslane, and it hasn't started to flower yet, so we're hopeful to stay ahead of seed production. There's some pigweed, there's lamb's quarter in here, there's a little bit of malva. But of the species we planted, there's some nice buckwheat, there's a little bit of sunhemp, there's some sunflower, Phacelia, there is teff in here, there's a little bit of vetch, and let's see, there's parsley that's probably kind of overwhelmed. And there is a little bit of flax in here that tends to get overwhelmed, but you know, it's probably in the understory somewhere. Today is July 10th. This is our 80-inch bed cover crop field we just mowed today. It was mixed species. This is the vertical tillage tool running with the knife to undercut, just to make sure we terminate all the cover crop so there's no regrowth. So the knife's working down about 3 inches. Everything is undercut and dislodged. So he's going to make the one pass with the knife, then he's going to drop the knife, and he will make the second pass to just finish mixing the compost in. And then we will have one bed that we do not run the knife at all, just two passes with the vertical tillage tool. And then we will have one bed that we do nothing on. And then we will pre-irrigate with sprinklers tonight or tomorrow night. So coming across the field, we have 8 beds that were just mowed and compost, and then probably tomorrow we will put our weed barrier on with 4 lines of drip tape and start getting the beds wet with the weed barrier on. Then we're going to have some beds in here that were vertical tillage tool with the knife. Then we'll have a bed with no tillage, and we'll have a bed with only vertical tillage and no knife undercutting. The undercutting knife is just to make sure that there is no cover crop regrowth. And then we have a pre-irrigation scheduled, and then this field is scheduled to be planted to leeks, probably in late August. Today is July 10th, so we have maybe 6 weeks before we would plant. And the leeks would be for growing in the fall, and then winter harvest, probably harvest in February or March. And usually this is, well, the leeks aren't very competitive against weeds. We would transplant 4 lines to the bed, and so we just want to make sure we don't have a lot of regrowth and competition with the leek crop. It is July 10th. Here we are on our San Juan Ranch. This is field SF2. This is where we had cover crop growing on 80-inch beds, multi-species cover crop, and it was mowed today, compost spread, and now they're getting set up to run the vertical tillage tool. We're actually going to set this up on the first pass. We've added the 80-inch knife. So the idea just with this is that we would undercut the cover crop and make sure that there was no regrowth. And then for the second pass, we'll take the undercutting knife off and make one more pass with the chisel shallow to continue mixing in the cover crop and loosening up the ground a little bit. Today is Saturday, July 11th. This is our Santa Ana Ranch. This is field S31, and this is melon planting number 3. These ones are probably maybe 10 days off from the first harvest. And this was planted on top of a winter cover crop, mixed species on an 80-inch bed. We strip tilled, and then we put 25 units of nitrogen. We usually wouldn't do that on this field on this part of the ranch with the high organic matter. We're probably 5.5% here. But we went ahead and put a little bit on pre-plant just to make sure we had enough early nitrogen, since the residue was left on the surface, just mowed and left on the surface. Still some residue left here. We have good vine growth, not overly luxurious, but just a nice vine growth. These have settled down and look like a pretty good crop of melons. We've come across cantaloupes, galeas, charlins, canaries, and orange honeydew. Today is July 13th. This is our San Juan Ranch. This is field SJ2, and this is one of our 3 replicated tillage trials between our 2 farm locations. This one had cover crop over the winter, and then we spaded, and after mowing the cover crop and putting compost on, and then we on the reduced tillage, we essentially just strip tilled, put feather meal, and planted. So this is these 4 beds are tilled with the spader prior to planting. This is kabocha sweet mama squash, and then we're moving into, to the right, our 4 beds in the reduced tillage. You can still see a fair amount of residue left on top of the beds from the cover crop. So we're going across 4 beds that are reduced tilled. And now we are going into 4 beds that were tilled. And now we go to the next 4 beds. The 4 beds on the right were reduced tilled. The 4 beds on the left were tilled. Today is Saturday, July 18th. This is our San Juan Ranch, field SJ2, and this is where we have our tillage trial, reduced tillage trial. So we're looking here at kabocha squash, and the 4 beds to the left are the tilled trial, and the 4 beds to the right are the reduced tilled. See, moving along the tillage trial, now we have 4 beds on the left are reduced tillage, and the 4 beds on the right are tilled in the tilled plot. And this is all following winter cover crop, mowed. The tilled was spaded, and the reduced tilled was only mowed and strip tilled. Here we are looking further at the reps of the tilled, reduced tilled. The 4 beds to the left is the tilled, and the 4 beds to the right was reduced tilled, and then we just finish out the kabocha squash. There's another 12 beds, and then it goes into some other hard squash varieties. So right here we're on the reduced tilled to the right, tilled to the left. Now tilled to the right, reduced tilled to the left. And we come across to the last rep, and it is reduced tilled on the right and tilled on the left. Today is Saturday, July 18th. This is our Santa Ana Ranch. This is field S14, and this is where we had pretty significant morning glory. We skipped over planting these beds and we treated with weed slayer. This was done probably 8 weeks ago, mid-May, and then we did a spot retreat maybe 3 weeks later. And I don't see a lot of regrowth in here. There is a little bit of living leaf in here. We might want to come through and treat one more time and catch the couple spots we missed, but we will continue to watch this. Today is Wednesday, July 22nd. This is our Santa Ana Ranch. This is field S51 and this is hoop house number 4. So we had 4 hoop houses that followed leeks and fennel. And we just reworked the beds, put compost on, pre-irrigated and leveled off. And then we had various spots of morning glory just come up on the beds. And we went ahead and treated this morning glory a couple weeks ago. Didn't knife it out, didn't just let it grow, and sprayed it. And we are getting some yellowing of the tips, some of the leaves. So it does look like the weed slayer is having an effect. And it has slowed it down. It has a duller color. And then last week we came in and used the transplanter and just put the transplant peppers in without disturbing the soil to take the morning glory out. So we will see what happens over the next few weeks if the morning glory kind of dies back without having to do anything. That will be a good thing. If it doesn't work, we will do a lot of weeding and cultivating in here. Here's a little bit of the experimentation we're doing with the weed slayer on morning glory. Treated 10 days prior to transplanting and without trying to knife or cut the morning glory out before transplanting it, just planting through it. And hopeful that the weed slayer will have some effect and retard the growth and hold the growth back on the morning glory. Today is Saturday, July 25th. This is our Santa Ana Ranch. This is field S56. This is a mixed species cover crop planted single line on beds that came out of spring planted or spring harvested lettuce, and the beds were just lightly worked, and then we planted the single line cover crop, irrigated them with drip tape. In fact, we still have the drip tape in here. We're cutting high and we'll extract the drip tape, and then we will come back and mow it a little shorter. We also have collected some biomass samples, and this is where we cut the biomass samples out. We will take them and weigh them and try to calculate a biomass and then a dry weight. So this is mowed a little higher. We'll come in and retrieve our drip tape, and then we'll come back, mow it a second time a little lower, and then we will come through with the McElroy knife and undercut the single line, and then we'll probably one pass with the vertical tillage tool to chop it, and then we would run the Yetter strip tiller to push everything off the top of the bed. Put our compost on, Lilliston, and then pre-irrigate, and ready for planting here in the fall for some winter vegetables. In this mixed species cover crop, we had sunflower, phacelia, teff, vetch, flax, buckwheat, cilantro, and I'm missing, I think we may have had some sun hemp in here, which I don't see too much of it right now. Today is Saturday, July 25th. This is our Santa Ana Ranch. This is field S51, and it is hoop house 16. And these are 80-inch beds. We had, after we came out of the previous crop, we just left the beds alone. We had significant morning glory and spots come up, and then we had tomato transplants scheduled to go in last week, and we decided to try something where we didn't undercut or till the morning glory, thinking it would just come right back, or flame it, but we did come in and spray weed slayer 2 days before planting the transplants, with the hope that the weed slayer would stop the growth of the morning glory and then hopefully help dry it back. But we will have to see what happens. Yeah, the morning glory isn't prevalent all through the houses, but it certainly spots. The one we just looked at is the worst, but there is just light patches of it throughout. And the hope is the weed slayer will have some effect on it and let our tomatoes get started. The weed slayer was applied, spot sprayed with a battery-powered backpack sprayer at 3% of the weed slayer and 3% of the nutrient, and then buffered to a pH of 4 with mix well. So the nozzle tip we used was just a flat fan nozzle, and we would just walk along and turn the little sprayer on when we came to morning glory. And this was before, this was 2 days before the tomato transplants went in. And the tomato transplants went in, actually today's Saturday, they went in on Thursday. So there's a couple days since they've been planted. We are planning to cultivate in here. What we'd like to do is try to go another couple weeks, see if the weed slayer is really going to have a effect on knocking the morning glory back. And then at that point, we would come in and then cultivate as close as we can to the peppers, maybe push a little bit of dirt, and probably be using a Lilliston cultivator to clean up the sides of the beds, and then a shovel in the furrow for sweeping the furrow.